might know what the truth is, because we are certainly finding out what the truth is. So I wrote things down over these 100 days, and I'm going to share them with you one at a time. The first thing I wrote down is that everyone is an angel. Actually, I think I wrote down, we're all angels. Period. Does that need some explanation? I'll try to give you an example of some angels in my life. If you haven't had any angels in your life, I will feel very sorry for you. I was divorced, had 2 children, somewhere in the ages of 8 to 10, in that neighborhood. They were a little bit older at this time, might have been 10 and 12. Anyway, I was taking them home to their mother, and it was snowing, and there was a lot of snow on the road, and we were going off of I-270 at the time. And I was in a 1980 Volkswagen Rabbit, 81 Volkswagen Rabbit, diesel, 80 diesel Rabbit. And coming to an intersection, new intersection coming off 270, right around Falls Road, I think it is. And in the snow, I skid out. I spin. There's hardly any traffic. It's nighttime. There's a couple of inches of snow in between lanes. And I hit that snow as I'm merging on to the road, and I'm spinning backwards as I'm going through the intersection. The car ends up going backwards on a median strip. Wheels on one side, wheels on the other side. And there is a sign there. I don't recall what the sign said. It might have said keep right or keep left of this little island that was there, more a peninsula than an island. But my car fit exactly over top of it. It knocked down the sign. There was a stake holding up the sign, made out of metal, one of those things that are shaped like an upside down U a little bit. Knocking down the sign off that, and the car jumping up, landed with that stake coming through the rear left passenger floorboards. So my car was skewered on this island while I'm taking my kids home in a snowstorm at nighttime. What am I going to do? Well, I'll call on the Czechoslovakian weightlifting team. No, they might have been the wrestling team. I'm not sure. But they pull up behind me and go, "Oh, do you have a problem?" And I'm going, no, I don't have any problem. I'm just, my car's a little stuck. So these guys get out of the van that they're in. It's not a van, but it's a car. They get out of the car. One takes each corner of my car this 1980 diesel that is skewered on the stake. I had gotten out of it, and my two kids had gotten out of it. They pick it up and put it back in the road. I thank them. They go on their way. I get my kids back in the car, safely buckled in their seats, and we're on our way to my ex-wife's house. On time, of course. So those were my angels. How did I call them? No, I couldn't call them. They showed up and did exactly what I needed. So they were angels to me. And that's what each of us is when we're put on this earth. We're put here to be an angel to somebody else. Ask yourself, who are you an angel for? I'm going to be doing this every night for the next 100 days until the election. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Love you all. Good night. Question. So I'm going to give you the question and let you think about it a while. It's got some deeper meaning. The answer to it's probably not too hard. You're probably, oh yeah. But let's think about it, and I'm going to go on to the next thing I wrote. See, I make up the rules. So the question was, can you have a rainbow without rain? Not too difficult of a question. But the next statement is what we're going to talk about. And the next statement was, wars are for the way we educate our children. This goes back, I don't know, you might remember a while back on my Facebook page where I said we've fought that war. I was going to do this in another room and show you on another computer that we've already fought this war. And that was back when I was talking about the Civil War, actually, because it was the race war we were talking about then. And then I expanded it, though. It wasn't just the fighting to free the blacks back then, or slaves. It was actually for minorities. And it was all minorities. And you might remember before I had a Facebook page that said it was for all minorities. Now, I put that page up when the Supreme Court came to their senses in this particular case and said that the LBGT can work where they want and not be discriminated against. And they're a minority. The disabled are a minority. And if you looked at a page I posted the other night, the video with the forget the exact term, gosh, and everything is, you have to be politically correct too, but another minority. And guess what? We are able to give them the best life possible. It's our responsibility. It's the only thing we do on this earth, is to give other people the best possibility to live their life to the fullest. So let's go back to my original question about the rainbow. Can you have a rainbow without rain? Answer, of course, is yes. And the way things are in this wonderful world that we've entered, in the physical part, this came to be today because I was going up to talk to my wife, and I had read this beforehand because I do have to think about it before I get in here, at least the day before, and think what I'm going to say a little bit. I'm not that smart to do that. But so I'm walking up to talk to Amy. She works, and there's a rainbow on the floor on a carpet given to me by my mother, of course, coming from a crystal that hangs in the window above where Amy is working. What other word can I use for that other than rainbow? Was there any rain? Well, there's rain right now, and we're going to have rain for about the next 4 or 5 days. I might think I live in, gosh, where would that place that has a lot of rain? I mean, what? It rains like 55% of the time there in that place. I can't remember what it is. Unfortunately, we don't have that. If we had that, it'd be really terrible because we've had a lot of moisture past couple seasons, and mold just grows out of it. So we were in Aldi's today and bought a couple fans. We do not have air conditioning, and we've lived here 27 years. You notice the fan in the back there. That's the way we live. So, anyway, that's me for tonight on this. 99 more days till the election. Please, let's remember about what the Supreme Court did that was good. We do have a couple things that need to be changed. I hear nobody talking about Citizens United. It's because we have to put out other fires, even if we make those fires ourselves. I mean, he's only been using this tactic since he knocked all the Republicans out of the race. He'll keep using it on the gullible public. Sorry to say. Good night. Love you all. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Rick. You know what's inside of you. Random, they do kind of go together, and there's so much more to say about the previous two topics I talked about. And I hope that you can put things together. I've done this all my life and have said things and tried to let people connect them without actually pointing it out. You know, like definite connections between rainbows and lots of other things. I apologize for not remembering the minority was Down syndrome. But I did that. Let's get to today's statement. Kind of surprised me. And it is, she sang to me, and that was my gift. And it was period. And there was another sentence, and I decided to include it in there. Well, let me talk about that for a while. I must have been thinking to my first wife, Michelle, who would sing to me in the car or at home. She didn't have a great voice because she wouldn't sing anywhere else or for anybody else. But she sang for me. And I loved it. And the next statement kind of puts it all together. To live with a smile in my heart. See, she was an angel to me in my life. Our lives came together and intertwined for many years. And we both went where we went. Of course, this goes back to my first statement about being an angel. All you can do is go help people. 98 days till Election Day, folks, and more insane things. Are coming out of somebody's mouth. Well, everybody have a great day. Love you all and talk to you tomorrow night. Kind of random, but still connected somehow. And I also said I leave a lot of things for you to think about and what you have to do. I'm not going to say everything. You have to make certain connections. And like last night I was talking about a gift that a person gave me. And of course, that's not the only gift. There were hundreds and thousands more, nor is she the only person that was in my life. So if I didn't mention you, don't feel hurt. Okay. And other things. And I also made a mistake, and I will make mistakes because I do them all the time. My mistake was I was going to talk about relations next week. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. I haven't read that far ahead. I read one or two sentences ahead. This is something that I wrote 4 years ago and coming along up to date. But the statement for tonight is that we are a species. Now, as you recall, this is a lot different than the first thing I said about being an angel. A species. And I put in parentheses as related to sexual matters, too. This goes back to birth and what we know and what are we going to do with this human body that we are endowed with. And each one is so different, and what we get to do with it during all that time. But still, we're a species. We're a human. We have a DNA that tells us to do certain things. Why? Where? What's that impulse coming from? I have 6 kids. Nobody told me that I should do that, or that's what I want to do, or you're supposed to do. Everybody does it. It's what we're put here on Earth for, just like all the other species, to propagate, it seems. And then we get to think, and we think there's so much more, and there really is so much more than being a human species. Good night. You know, if you looked last night, I had a real hard time pressing the finish button. For some reason, you try to press finish and it doesn't work. I pressed it about 16 times and it didn't go. And I said, well, maybe I'm supposed to say some more about that DNA coding. It really, really gets involved, and you know that, and it gets very deep into the science. And we have so much in our DNA that it tells what we do. What's encoded there is incredible. Telling each cell what to do, how you're going to form. You're going to form into a nose or an arm or a toe. And the DNA knows all this and directs us, and the proteins. And you can get into the COVID-19 and what that is. A virus. It's an actual thing. A cell. By the way, of course, I have this. Had to go into the store today. I wear this because of the beard. It works better with the beard. And I was just looking at people as if you're going by a place and you're going to breathe on this, well, something is transferring onto the handle of that frozen food section door if you don't have this. Now, hopefully the only thing that's transferred is from your hand, which is a little less, and the COVID will, it's hard to go from here to there than just go straight from your mouth right onto a aqua particle where it can live there for a certain amount of time. Now, not a whole lot of time. I think a day is the most, but that's a lot of time. An hour is a lot of time, because how many people are going to now open that door in the next hour with a hand? And then they have to transfer it to their face somewhere, some mucus area where it can enter their bodies. It's an actual thing. You might wonder how big that guy is, but you think about aroma, you can smell somebody come by. What's that? What am I smelling? It's something. It's going up into your nose, and your nose is catching it and creating a response from that odor. Now, granted, it's not a whole viral organism, if you want to call a virus an organism. It may just be a protein that happens to fit the hairs in your nose just perfectly, so you know what it smells like. An incredible world of atoms. And we're a species that has command of a few trillion of those atoms, I guess. Let's use it to the best of our ability and help other of our species. Thanks, guys. We're going to try to press this. Not quite 1,000 people died from COVID today, I think. But we're being warned. A lot better than we were warned at the beginning, when it would really have mattered a little bit more. Sometimes when you let it out of the box, you let it out of the box. Well, this is going to be a short one. Again, I have I was going to say no clue, but I do have a clue since I wrote them, and that's a pretty good clue. But everything's going to be different. And I actually had to write this down because I don't know how to go back into my phone and see what it is and stop the live. So I had to write this one down, and it turned out to be a book, much more than one sentence, about what I was thinking at that time. And again, we have 96 days until election. 96 days. But let's talk more about us as human beings and what we're doing. What I wrote down was, collectively, all of our dreams can come true. Now, remember what collectively means. You got to get together, and of course, people don't dream together. Dreaming is something that we don't know a lot about, and it'd be wonderful if we did, because where we go when we dream is probably the prime suspect of where we go when we die. It's definitely another dimension. And it goes into the future, and it goes into the past, and it does all kinds of weird things. But that day I wrote, collectively, all of our dreams can come true. And, I mean, think of all the things that man has dreamed about that's come true. Even when the dream is really far-fetched, almost removed from reality. It still becomes true. It even becomes normal. To give you an example, think of Jules Verne. What did he dream about? What did he write about? And it's now common. Submarines, things like that. Or how about Dick Tracy's watch? Huh? That's never going to happen. No way. It wasn't even close to what we have now. No, what we dream about now and what we write about now, my gosh, Heinlein and other people, it's not going to happen in your lifetime, and it's certainly not going to happen in my lifetime. My lifetime's shorter than most of you, except for a couple of my cousins out there still. But just, can it happen in the lifetime of infinity? the lifetime of man, the collective mind of man. Like, think of all the boys and girls that dreamed about Jules Verne or dreamed about Dick Tracy's watch, and then it became true. So if we have enough people dreaming about something, will it then become the common intelligence of man? Where can we go? Not just this phone in your hand. Of course, most of man's intelligence is in this phone. It's funny when people ask questions, and I never liked questions on tests like that, that who was the first president, or who was the 16th president, or who was 45th? Gosh. Do you want to be remembered as that president? Hey, it's another day. Let's make it the best. Try to help somebody. We'll see if this little finish button works the first time I push it real hard. Not working worth a darn. What I wrote was, your home is farther away. Make it farther away. That isn't everything. And there's a lot to that besides what I'm going to say more on what you're thinking. But everybody has that. You come up in a small town and you've got to move out of that small town and go to the city, or you've got to move out of the city to go to the country, or you've got to do this. And again, as I said, this is all related. We're species, we're mammalian, we're destined to do certain things once we're born. I am going to get a stand for this one day, and then I won't have to hold it. Here, Weatherguard has it. But anyway, so that's what we do, but that's not what I was thinking about when moving farther away. If you've ever seen one of those maps of how we are populating the United States, we have the Germans coming over, and the Italians, and the Irish, and the Chinese, and the African Americans, which are from a lot of different countries, and nobody ever talks about that. Like you do the Europeans. But it looks like they're kind of coming out and setting their mark where they are. This family, I'm going to live here, I'm going to raise my family, they're going to grow, and then they're going to move out. And we're kind of spreading and taking over the United States. I hear a lot of noise. That means it's raining, I believe, which is great. So we do that, and people have names, and I have plant your flag, which is what we've always done. You know, the country goes out and plants its flag, and they've made their place. Do we do that on a family basis? Is it a family flag? I'm Lukens here now. Did I move out of DC from where I was raised, more or less? Bethesda is not DC. You know, it used to be a cow pasture. BCC was so small then, and then WJ was in a cow pasture. But now I'm in a cow pasture again. But this also made a problem for me too. It says, I can't be me If I'm planting my family flag, I'm planting what my father was. We're going back. Am I just an extension of my father, of my family? Don't know. Let's go back. Would we be proud of me? Who knows? Who knows? And I had one more statement, which went to all of this. Maybe I planted my flag, but that doesn't mean anything after I die. What did I learn while I did all that? What did you learn in your life? Everything that was in this phone? How much of that collective intelligence of humankind did you learn? If it were a mathematical thing and you put your knowledge up against the knowledge of mankind, the answer would be 0. I know nothing compared to what man knows. And I will learn nothing compared to everything that man knows. What's the important thing to learn? Keep learning. And if you keep learning, eventually you'll learn the important thing. Love everybody. I'll see you tomorrow night at the same time, although nobody joined me this time. I guess I'm supposed to tag people, but I don't tag people because it's midnight most of mine. Other than those people on the West Coast that I love so much. Bye-bye. The quote for today is, "You make your life hard against the waves." Now that is interesting, probably only to me, but a lot of people are like that. And when I said it, I was probably, I hate to say it, Luke, but I was probably thinking about Luke. Luke is my second son, my first Miami. And he's one of the people that likes to go against the waves. He just does. And it makes his life a little more difficult, but he's happy and he's moving along. So you can go against the waves. And it's interesting, when you're live, you can't really stop and say something else. I forget what else I wanted to say about this. You really don't have to make your life hard. My particular life, I've always been a minimalist. Tried to do the easiest thing, the smoothest thing. Hey, Tom. I know. That's why I have blue eyes. Fred to you is Rick to me, but because he was Uncle Rick. And it's a Lucan's trait. Did you see what Sarah posted the other day The gentleman, Mr. Lukens, was, gosh, why don't I remember these things? They're so easy. It was an ambassador in England, I believe, but had some interesting comments about our illustrious person. I also saw a lot of interesting things about Bezos. He's trying to make the world his own place. That's really amazing what he's doing with Alexa. Alexa, continue. I have such a hard time with her. I have 6 of them, and you can't really do the groups properly. I've never showed you guys my kitchen. This was a birthday present to my wife once upon a time. Not really. Just worked hard. Her brother helped design it and all that kind of stuff. It's really pretty neat. And this guy. What do you have to say? He hadn't been feeling too good lately. Well, everybody, that's it for tonight. I'm sorry I don't have more to say. Ride the waves. Enjoy your life. Make it good. And go help somebody today. Love you all. Bye-bye. To anybody here, but why do so many people live in a space or an area where there is not a proper infrastructure built? I think this was reading about the cities that have gone up along the Texas border. And refugee camps are almost the same thing, and they make people stop. You got to stop here. You're in our country. You can't go anymore into our country. So stop here. So we make them stop. And then they have no infrastructure. And then the infrastructure is something we, as an American, almost all take for granted. It's the streets. It's the trash collection. It's the water. Greatest thing about America was the water. You get to drink the water. Well, we found out if you're a minority, we don't care about you as much and your water quite as much. But let's be able to drink water. That's part of the infrastructure. But don't stay there if it's not there. Move on back into the city or whatever. As I was saying before, we all spread out, and it's really strange the way America is growing and our cities grow, and it gets bigger and just goes on. And what knowledge we need to adapt to that new type of lifestyle. We can't all be farmers. We can't all be blacksmiths. We can't all do those things. What kind of can we support now? We can't be manufacturers anymore in America, it seems. We don't want to pay people enough. But hopefully we will. Again, in the future we're going to need to. Anyway, why did those people leave and stop there? It was actually a failure of the government somehow. They moved into a county. Who's going to take care of this influx of people that come in? Can that particular area support it? Do we have enough hairdressers? Do we have enough tradespeople? But even in today's age, you need so much more. You need a high school education, and you need a trade, and you need to know how to manage your money. And as long as you manage your money, you're fine. You're in the system then. And tell me we can't get people who are coming across the border in our system. They're going to work. They have to work. It's what we're all taught. It's all our religions. And they'll get in. Stop them in your county, but you have to have an infrastructure. They have to go where the infrastructure is and they will help it. It's the way America has been. Well, all the time I have for tonight. I hope to see people. 2 people I love are watching right now. I know that. Mariah and Helene. Wonderful people in this world that can do and have done so much. Good night. Alexa, pause. Like I said, I like Alexa. Tracy Chapsh, that's a nice thing. Also, you might want to start listening to Ruthie Foster a little bit. Should bring back some memories long ago. We're supposed to learn from history, right? You don't study history, you end up repeating it. Why do we repeat it? Why are people so into things? Okay, some of the things. Last time or a while back, I talked about a cat and cat claw. I want to tell you that the cat's name was Hey Boy. Hey Boy was a Siamese kitten, cat. Had him his whole life, of course. And if I mention my dead cat, I ought to also mention my dead brother, who did a wonderful job of having people respect the Lucan's name in Las Vegas, since he was Associate Deputy Attorney, ADA, and he was there during all the Las Vegas crime scene. What was the big crime show in Las Vegas? Anyway, and he taught forensics when he retired from being in the district attorney's office. So that was the other thing. Also, I talked about you can be anything, and I said a farmer or a hairstylist or whatever. I did not mean to denigrate farmers or say that because we couldn't all be farmers. Maybe everybody wants to be a farmer, and there's several people who dream of being farmers. And it's just a job like everything else. There is an infinite number of jobs. You couldn't mention them all. I remember when we went into junior high, we took a test and it would tell you what you were most adept at and what job you could go into. And there was a list of 60 of them. That boggled my mind, but actually there's a lot more than 60, and you go into one line and you can go into almost any line. The other thing I was talking about, the infrastructure, and I was actually talking about Texas, but how you have to go a place where the infrastructure can support you. And it's good for you. And that infrastructure is the government. Well, imagine that. You have to go somewhere where there's a nice government. And they'll take care of you and they'll help you. And they'll give you good, clean water and roads to drive on. What are you going to do for when they give you all that? What are you going to return to that community? You got to give something back, at least a lot more than just taxes. Everybody complains about taxes, but it's fairly small, well, I won't say a small percent, it's up to 40% for a lot of people. But anyway, and the other thing I want to talk about is helping people. If you're new to this live thing and you haven't seen them before, you can go back and look at my other ones. I guess they're on my Facebook page, which the public can look at. And it's certainly all my friends can, and my classmates from Walter Johnson. I think the classmates of Walter Johnson should actually rule the government right now, although we did lose Robert Pear. And if Robert Pear would have had the greatest health system for America and the world, if they had just ever called on him to put it together for them, except they just wanted to let him criticize it. Anyway, that's here nor there. There's still a lot of people in the Walter Johnson's class of 67 that can do a lot of stuff. Okay, my comment for today. Oh, I was talking about help too, to help people. It's just an opportunity to help. If you don't help somebody today or in the future, what are you actually here for? You don't exist unless you get to help somebody, help them go on. Well, we're going to, if you have heard my previous things, you know I delved into things a little further than politics. And this is 91 days until election. Go to that place and vote for that person, and your local government, vote for them too, and the people that will do the right thing for you. Okay. My comment was, my life depends on this person. Period. Think about that for a second. My life depends on this person. That's happened to all of us because we all started there. At one time, our life depended on our mothers, and our life depended on our fathers. And a lot of people think their life depends on some other person, and it does for a lot of us. Certainly a lot of the disabled, their life depends on a certain person taking care of them for the rest of their lives. We can do it. That person does it, and they do it out of love. But anyway, that wasn't the end of my comment for that particular day. My life depends on this person. And the next comment I had was, the next angel you meet, or the next soul you need to save. The next angel you meet, or the next soul you need to save. Well, I was talking about how we're all angels. But for some reason, some are a little more than connected than others. Like the person you need to live, that is that person's angel. And I can think of some people in my life who I've certainly been the angel for, and they wouldn't be alive if it weren't for me for some reason. I cherish that. Love it. Hope everybody can say that. So go out and help somebody. Have a great day today. I will be live again at midnight Eastern time. That's when I try to press the little button. It keeps me alive. We'll talk about that much later. Thank you. And it has to be a regular thing. I don't want to look at it like work. Work is so hard. But 93 days. Now this was interesting. someone in Shepherdstown was talking to me about money, I think, and I explained my concept of money. And in our particular society, though, there is something about money. And what I wrote down was, if you can't handle the rate at which money should flow through you, then they will make your class lower. So our society has the people at the very top and the people at the very bottom, and it actually seems to depend all on money for some reason. I believe I'm the richest person in the world. I have everything I want or need. I have what I dreamed of when I was a kid. And that's what I can do with my life every day. What I wanted to do when I was 6 or 7 years old, or 8 or 9 or 10. And I get to do that. What more could a person want? We get into dreams. If people look at this later, these actually do seem to be connected. We're talking anything. But let's go back to the flow of money and how it lowers your class. Money is a concept introduced to us as kids, mostly with math. And you learn about math, you learn about money. And you have levels of it. And when you're a kid, you have maybe an allowance or something, or you want that 50 cents to get ice cream, or nowadays $1 to get a bag of chips. Anyway, 50 cents will make your life really easy. And you go along and then you get up and it becomes $5. You know? Gosh, I can get what I wanted. For me, I believe it was a bicycle. I wanted it. It was $41. I wanted it. I got the $41. I got my bike. And so it was money, and it flowed through me as a kid. And it stays like that, and it stays at levels and what you expect. And pretty soon it's $1,000 that you want to get for maybe your first car, or $5,000 to get a down payment on a house almost. Well, now you probably need at least 15. What, 10% of a $150,000 house is a good place to start these days? But it flows through you, and you have to manage that money. We've been educated in society to be able to do the math, to be able to do that much. And people say, well, I'm going to get an accountant to do it. Well, you got to earn extra money to be able to pay the accountant to do it. And then there's realms of money that we talk about for our nation and what we're doing and what we spend on education and the military. I saw Mr. Sanders talk one time, and my question to him was about the elephant in the room that people don't talk about, and that's the military. Hopefully the military will become so advanced that it is superfluous. That would be nice. Got something neat to talk about tomorrow night. And I hope you guys watch it also. I know that this posts on my thing, and so all you have to do is, well, get up, and I can listen to Bill. Why would anybody want to do that? I don't know. I feel bad. I feel like I'm making a blog or whatever those things people listen to all the time now. But it's Facebook, it's me, and it's live for 100 days, at least as long as I stay alive. And in 100 days, if something happens, who knows? Okay, everybody, I love you. Please go out and help somebody. My team today, we had over 2,000 helps, but we came in 5th place out of the coins, out of the money. It's Wordscapes. Fun game to play. Anyway, love everybody. Hey, Wesley, good to see you. Watch the whole thing. Start at the beginning, man.